Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 studio, this is Extension Connection.
Welcome to Extension Connection. Today we are pre-recorded, so I hope you're enjoying your lovely Wednesday. We hear it's supposed to be some good weather today. My name is Ashley Stegman, and I am the Ag and Natural Resource Agent. We also have Kelsey Sheldon, our horticulture assistant, and Tom Kelb, our state horticulturist today, visiting with us on some different topics. I'm guessing gardening.
You got it. Now's the time. The weather's warm and the frost is coming out of the ground, and it's time to get out there and get gardening.
All right. Well, we are busy with having our Spring Fever forums. Those are events that are taking place Monday evenings, and we do host that event at the Burleigh County Extension Office. And you are more than welcome if you are wanting to know information, learn a little bit more about gardening, and get it from the experts with NDSU Extension. By all means, please come on by and join us. You could give us a call at 221-6865. Let us know if you are interested in the Spring Fever Forum. It's just one opportunity for our gardeners to get in the classroom and learn a little bit more about certain topics. And today, as we're talking about the time of the year, the gardening season is right upon us. Other things that are right upon us are growing our crops, so planting those crops out in our countryside. One big thing, and whether it is you're sowing seeds in the ground or sowing your crop, you need to know your soil temperatures and where we're at. And one way you can check the soil temperatures is going on our NDAWN, that's the North Dakota Department Agricultural Weather Network, and that you can just Google NDAWN, and you can find a site near you and get some information on soil temperatures, moisture readings, wind readings, and so this tool gets used very often, especially in our agricultural world. Whether it is if you are out spraying in the summertime and you need to check your wind speeds, or right now it's being utilized to check those soil temperatures. I just checked this morning. I know, Kelsey, you had a reading. What was your reading?
I had showed 41 as of 7 a.m. this morning.
Okay, all right. And I checked the NDAWN station, and that reading is at the site at the Mandan Research Center down south of Mandan there, and we had a bare soil temperature of 42 and a turf temperature of 37. So we are rising.
Yeah, but it's still pretty cool out there, and so soil temps in the 40s. That's kind of just like a refrigerator.
It is. We're just kind of idle.
We gotta. But now this blast of warm weather that we got coming now, that's definitely gonna warm up the soil, and I think also with our soil being dry, that's going to help accelerate the warmth of our soil temperatures. So,
for soil temperatures, for our farmers, really your minimum soil temperatures for germination for various crops is around that 40-degree mark. Our small grains really can tolerate that 40 degrees. They actually germinate very well, kind of in that low 40s. And so we are hearing and seeing a lot of guys get their small grains in. I actually just had a producer call this morning, was asking some questions on seeding rates. And so, if you're itching to do something in the field, if you want to get out there and do some prep work, get some fertilizer down, those are some things that we're seeing in along the countryside already. Now, if you're looking to plant more oats or sunflowers, you want to hold off. You want that temperature to be about 45 degrees, and flax is 48 degrees. And then if you're a corn soybean grower, you're going to want want to just put the brakes on for a while. You're going to want to wait until we get up to about 50 degrees. And so when we're talking about some of those ag crops and planting those ag crops, we have a publication that is based on the optimum and late planting dates that are suggested for small grains. And since North Dakota is leader in the production nationally for a lot of our small grains, for us in this area, the Bismarck, central kind of North Dakota area, we really are ahead of the game with planting for our small grains. We traditionally are about the 3rd to 4th week of April. Now, I'm saying that as every year it seems like we get a little bit nicer of a spring, and we get just we get out there a little bit earlier every year. And so just don't, if you see your neighbor busy working, doesn't mean you have to go out and do it too. We're not there yet with our temperatures, so just hold on. You just want to make sure that those temperatures are at the right stage, so you can have proper germination happening. When seeding into soils at our near the minimum germination temperatures for the crop, consider using a basic seed treatment product. Seed planted into cooler soils will take longer to germinate and emerge, which means that there will be a greater exposures to soil pathogens. So your soil might go bad on you while it's there. If the soil is wet, this will also favor the activity of many soil-borne pathogens, so bacteria growth or rotting of the seed. Seed treatment will help provide protection against these pathogens, which can reduce stands due to seed rot and seed blights. It will also help protect the seed or seeding if you run into adverse conditions following seeding, which further delays emergence, such as cool, wet spells, or late spring snowstorm. So those are all things that might happen, but with the outlook for the weather, it looks like it's going to be sunny and nice here for the next couple days.
Hopefully rain.
Hopefully rain, yes. I actually just yesterday received an email from our extension climatologist, and he is talking drought. Talking about especially this northern plains. He will be on talks with other university staffs throughout the northern plains and talking about conditions that they're seeing. If you're interested in seeing the drought monitor, there is a drought monitor put out by University of Nebraska, and they collect data and will kind of look at certain areas that seem a little more drier than others. I just yesterday looked at the map for North Dakota, and most of the state, I would say 3/4 of the state, is in a abnormally dry to more dry condition. And so it's not just here in the western part of the state. We are feeling it throughout the state. And so that is something that we are definitely going to be looking at here in the summer. Well, as we warm up, we need that moisture, especially whether it's your crops or your fruits or vegetables in your garden. We definitely need the right climate. We need some moisture to get those seeds germinating, to get them growing. And so those are a few things that are happening right now. And I believe Jim has given me a nod here that we are going to be taking a break. We'll be right back with the Extension Connection. the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name's Ashley Stagman, the Ag and Natural Resource Agent. We have Kelsey Sheldon, our Program Assistant, and Tom Kelb, our State Horticulturist. Previously, we were just talking about those soil temps and making sure that those soil temps are where they have to be in order to get those seeds to germinate, whether it's in your garden or out in your crop fields. Make sure that you are checking those soil temps before you're getting too busy out there in your fields. Another thing, as we were talking just on the break, that we are seeing a lot of planting happening all throughout the state. So make sure that you are, whether you're out and about or maybe you're out in the tractor, make sure that you are avoiding any risky behaviors. Reduce speed when turning or crossing slopes and when on rough or slick, muddy surfaces. Watch where you are going, especially at the row ends or on roads or around trees. I know personally, I remember being out in the field and I didn't take a loop far enough and I ended up taking out some tree rows. So make sure that you are definitely paying attention and slow down and be alert when you're making those turns. My dad wasn't too happy about that, but that following year I had to go put back all those trees I took out. So, I did pay for it later. Another thing is, when possible, avoid operating the tractor near ditches, embankments, and holes. That really is something that we do need to be careful. I've heard of too many accidents where you're on a steep embankment or a ditch and something horrible can happen to that tractor and you might tip. And so you want to be very careful of those embankments. Hitch only to the drawbar and hitch points that are recommended by the tractor manufacturer. So don't get in too much of a hurry and make sure that you're doing everything to keep yourself and others safe. And then you also want to make sure that bright orange red signal, triangle is properly displayed. That slow moving vehicle emblem reminds others, motorists, and vehicle ahead that they are moving slow. So you want to make sure that is properly visible. And for individuals on the highway, make sure that you are looking for that. And that's a good sign to know you need to start to slow down. So just make sure that you're being safe out there. And best of luck in our planting season here. An opportunity, as we're talking about planting and using that tractor, we do have a youth tractor safety school that will be coming up. It's the end of May 31st to June 2nd. This is a collaboration between North Dakota State University and North Dakota Parks and Rec Department. This school will teach participants the rules of the road, how to read and operate manuals, and operate large and small tractors. And then also with the North Dakota Parks and Rec Department, they will be really focusing on a 4-hour all-terrain vehicle safety certification program, which is very essential. A lot of individuals have those four-wheelers or those ATVs, and we hear of accidents all the time, and so we want to make sure that our youth are experienced drivers of those. So if you are interested, this school is designed for 14 to 15-year-olds. Youth that are 13 can also participate. This will be taking place at the 4-H camp up by Washburn. If you have any questions for the Youth Tractor Safety School, contact Rick Schmidt. He is the extension agent up in Oliver County. He could be contacted at 701-794-8748. And again, that Tractor Safety School is May 31st to June 2nd, and the cost is $135. If you have any questions, please reach out to your local county extension office. And with that wraps up with what I'm going to be talking about. Now, I believe Tom and Kelsey, they're going to be talking about our gardening and some of the opportunities that are coming up here that we invite all of our audience members to partake in.
That is correct, Ashley. You just talked about a class that's being offered. One other one that will happen April 30th in partnership with Burley County Extension and Plant Perfect. At Plant Perfect is a fairy gardening class for adults. Now, last month you and I did one for youth, and it went very well. So there was a lot of interest from the ages 18 and older, and so we got a class together, and again, that will be at Plant Perfect, April 30th, 3 to 4. I have a class limit of 20, and I believe there's about 3 spots left.
So if you're interested, and you have to be an adult for this one, make sure to contact our office, 701-221-6865, and get registered as soon as possible, because it sounds like the spots are in
full.
high demand.
Yep. Tom, you
So
have
what's going on?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we got to talk about. There's a couple big gardening events going on right now, and Ashley mentioned the first one, the Spring Fever Garden Forums. Okay, Spring Fever Garden Forums. This is a series of classes on Monday nights in April, and this is the way that all gardeners in North Dakota can connect to the researchers and educators of NDSU. So there's talks every night. They're hosted at both the Burley County Extension Office and the Morton County Extension Office. And also, you have the option of just going online, and you can watch these live on YouTube. And we're going to reach out to about 1,000 gardeners, or actually more than 1,000 gardeners through these Spring Fever Forums. We're talking about all kinds of topics, everything from growing a lawn to all kinds of interesting fruits. We're going to be talking about different recommended vegetables. This upcoming week, we'll have a special talk about some new plants that will be available at garden centers this spring. And so, again, you can, if you want to, you can just attend at home in your own pajamas on your home computer. No worries. Watch it live. And there's also opportunities that you can ask questions of the researchers in Fargo. And just go to Google and go Spring Fever Garden Forums. Okay, Spring Fever, North Dakota, and then they'll get you right to our website. So take advantage of that. It's a great opportunity to find out the latest trends and the latest research from NDSU. And of course, hey, we got to talk about the Garden Expo. It's coming up this weekend, or actually starting Friday, April 15th, and then Saturday, April 16th. That is the biggest garden event in the entire state. It's 10 times bigger than any other gardening conference in the state. And we're so happy to be linking up with Town Square Media to host this event. And we've got dozens of seminars out there for you and demonstrations. And also the biggest collection of vendors anywhere in the state. So if you're interested, all types of gardening supplies and technologies and tools. And we'll have sessions about growing tomatoes, what are the best trees, how to design a perennial garden. Kelsey, you going to be there?
I'm going to be there.
What are you going to do?
I have a demonstration on Friday night, 6 o'clock. Is that right?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock on how to do a fairy garden yourself. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be giving a talk on common tree problems that we see year after year in this area.
That's right. We're looking forward to that. And we'll learn about attracting butterflies. We'll have demonstrations about how to grow a giant pumpkin. We'll teach you how to, we have how to grow a bouquet of gladiolas in your backyard garden. So we've got lots of free bulbs and free seeds, 300 free trees, 1,000 packets of seeds, all kinds of giveaways, and just lots of knowledge and lots of great feeling about when you walk into that room. Just, oh my God, it's springtime. It feels so good. And so please join us at Dakota Garden Expo. And again, you can Google Dakota Garden Expo and find out the latest list of seminars and all the happenings going on there. It's at the Bismarck Event Center, Friday starting at 3 o'clock, and then Saturday morning starting at 9, going all day Saturday. So please join us out there at Dakota Garden Expo.
All right, and with that, we are going to be taking our break. to the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name is Ashley Stegman, the Ag and Natural Resource Agent. We have Kelsey Sheldon, our Horticulture Assistant, and Tom Kelb, our State Horticulturalist. So I was just thinking yesterday, you know, the old saying, I know, it happens once in a while, right?
I guess
So the old saying
Some
of April showers bring May flowers.
Really? Yeah.
My birthday was just this past weekend, and
great.
I can't remember a birthday that I didn't have some type of moisture, either rain or snow. And actually, this year was one of the first years where I didn't have either one of them. So
Well,
with that, you
way
know,
it
we know
goes.
we need moisture. I know, but it's kind of sad, especially
It's like a tradition.
It is. It's a tradition, especially when you grow
you
up.
should move to Seattle or something.
When you grow up with a birthday that's always kind of cloudy
Like
and
rain.
gloomy and dreary, not so much fun. So, what are some tips, I guess, for gardeners in April? What things can we do so we bring those May showers or May flowers?
Well, okay, there's a lot of stuff, you know, we can be doing out in the landscapes right now. And, you know, let's talk about trees now, because now is tree planting time. The ground is warming up, and it's, you know, one of the best things about as far as getting in the fields now is that it's dry. And so I guess that's, you know, there's a plus and minus to everything. Of course, we always cherish the precious rain. And even though we curse at the snow, it's so valuable for us in our landscapes and our crops. But it is dry out there, so we can get out there and plant quickly. And now's the time, or we're right on the edge now, about a good time to plant trees and shrubs. And I want to let everybody get a heads up about appreciating the value of bare root trees and shrubs. And this is available at our major garden centers, is that they will sell in our nurseries, is they will sell bare root stock. And bare root stock is very affordable. It's, you know, it's much less expensive than containerized plantings. But the drawback about bare root stock is you got to plant it in the spring. Okay, we got to get on that early on. That's got to be one of our early projects this spring. Bare root has a lot, besides being affordable, it has a nice advantage that you can lay out the roots and then, you know, have those roots emanate away from the trunk. And so we won't have any root girdling or coiling around of the roots. We can kind of train those roots to grow outwards and give us a healthier looking tree and a long-term stronger growth for our tree. So take advantage of that. You know, now's also a time when a lot of us are interested in planting fruit tree. And the common question I get is, do I have to have 2 apple trees, for example? And what's the answer there, Kelsey? Do you have to have 2 apple trees? Or?
You're the apple expert
Okay,
over
you're
there.
just dodging the questions, huh? I tell you. Trying to get you in this conversation here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got to have, for apples, it's not just 2 trees. You got to have 2 different varieties, okay? Because if you plant 2 Honeycrisp, they'll just reject themselves. They reject their own pollen. And so you'd have to plant a Honeycrisp and, let's say, a Sweet 16 or a Harrelson, for example. So you could have 2 different varieties. And preferably, we like them within 100 feet of one another if possible. So, you know, maybe your neighbor has an apple tree or a crab apple. That's another thing, is a crab apple will pollinate an apple tree. But for best production, you need 2 different varieties. And that also holds true for pears. They will do best if you have 2 different varieties. And also the American plums, the red plums. You need 2 different varieties to have good pollination and good fruit set. So keep that in mind. And again, now is the time to get on that. And even you can take advantage of the bare root materials. You can also order, there's bare root materials available in a lot of seed catalogs too.
But you do have to be kind of careful with those too, right? Like if you go and buy them tomorrow, rains this weekend, you got to keep those roots in water.
Yeah, you got to time it right. And I like soaking my trees for about 3 to 6 hours, you know, and before I plant them. And so, yeah, soak them in water. You got to keep the roots moist at all times, because if roots get dry for more than a few minutes, if they get completely dry, then the roots are just going to die. They're very precious tissue. So you're right. It's a little bit more. You lose some flexibility in planting with the bare roots, but you can save money too. You know, the other thing I want to share with you is about as far as pruning, is that for those of us who procrastinated a lot, we're kind of getting out of the window now, the best time to prune. The best time is at the end of winter. Buds are breaking, so it's not the optimal time, but you can still get away with pruning now if you need to. And like for an apple tree or a crabapple tree, we see a lot of water sprouts that clutter up the tree, and that can lead to disease. And so any of the vertical shoots, though, like pencil thick, just growing straight up, they're unfruitful, and now's a good time to trim them out. Clean your tree out right now before the growth really gets going. So last chance to get your pruning done. And especially like if I was going to do some type of pruning, now's a really good time to prune a lot of our evergreen shrubs like our arborvitae or junipers, because if your arborvitae had some winter damage this year, you can see the brown needles, and you can just neatly trim them off right now, and so now is a good time to prune your evergreen shrubs. Take care of that. What else can we talk about? How about another way to prevent diseases and around our fruit trees or any of our trees? If you can make sure you do a good job raking last year's leaf litter, because that's where the diseases start. And so doing a good job raking underneath the trees, make sure you get that done. And I think that's a pretty good. As far as talking about trees, those are some of the things to emphasize right now. If you have tree wrap, if you use a paper tree wrap, make sure you remove that now, because the tree wants to swell and you don't want to choke off the growth. It's okay to leave those plastic covers on, I guess, but if you feel that that anything's tightly against the bark of the tree, you might want to, I'd remove that now, because now the tree's going to start to swell and get going. And out in the vegetable garden, it's kind of, I think the thing to do now is prepare the soil. The soil's still warm. Like you talk about soil temps in the 40s still, and that's, even for potatoes, it's a little bit cool to be planting. I know it's past Good Friday and past St. Patrick's Day, but the ground is still cool here in North Dakota. They made that, I think when they made those sayings, I don't think they were thinking about Bismarck. I think they were thinking more like St. Louis or something like that, but it is too cold here, and the potato tubers are just going to rot in the ground. So let's just wait about a week before we get into the garden with our first stuff. And a few tips about preparing your potatoes. When you get the seed, you should, if you need to cut the potatoes, like if you got a big potato seed, you can cut that into quarters. Each section has to have 2 eyes in it. You see those 2 little bumps or little sprouts coming out. Each section has to have 2 eyes, and they say about 2 ounces. So that's about like a tiny egg is what a nice section is. And if you cut your potatoes, it should be cut the night before or the day before you plant, and that way it has a chance to callus over before you plant it in the ground. So I think potatoes are a good thing to get started, and let's do that. Next week would be a good time to plant. Other early things, radish, spinach, lettuce, peas, those will be the first things to get in the garden. Still too early for beans, still too early for corn. Just be patient, calm down. If you want to plant tomato seeds, now's a good time, but do it indoors. That's the time. We still got 6 weeks. We're right at the edge, the outer edge as far as planting tomato transplants. You should do it as soon as possible so that they're ready to rock and roll in about 6 weeks. And 6 to 8 weeks it takes a tomato transplant to grow. So I think those are some things that are happening right now as far as what we can do.
All right. Those sound like some great tips that we can start actively gardening in April. And with that, we are going to be taking our next break. welcome back to the Extension Connection. Today you have the Burleigh County Extension staff visiting with you. My name's Ashley Stegman, the Ag and Natural Resource Agent, Kelsey Sheldon, our Program Assistant, and Tom Kelb, our State Horticulturist, with us today. And just before the break, Tom was talking about the Dakota Garden Expo that will be held this weekend, starting Friday at 3 o'clock, and Saturday the doors open at 9, right?
That's right.
Okay, and I do know that we are going to be giving away those free trees and seed packets right at the beginning when the doors open. So
That's
if
right.
that is something you're...
Half each day.
Half each day, yes. So if you're looking to get some new seeds and maybe planting a tree, definitely get there early, and maybe you can be one of the lucky individuals that receives one of those giveaways. And I guess with that, I'm thinking myself, when I look outside in my yard, I'm thinking, well, what should I be doing with my lawn right now? So Kelsey, what should I do?
Well, that's a question of most people in the community right now and stuff. And many people's first inclination is to fertilize. You talked about how the farmers are getting out and fertilizing. They want to be that neighbor on the block with the first green lawn. But actually, in the long run, it's a poor choice. That excessive nitrogen application will encourage shoot growth, but not the root growth. So you will have that green, lush turf, but not a strong root system to support it. And this type of lawn will become stressed during the heat of the summer and is difficult to maintain without tons of water. So pushing the shoot growth with lots of nitrogen is also prone to disease. Lately, in the past 2 weeks, I've been getting a lot of calls and walk-ins about crabgrass. Springtime is the time to start managing that crabgrass. Pre-emergents are the most effective way to chemically control it. And you typically find those pre-emergents in like a spring fertilizer. But if you can find the standalone product for crabgrass, it's better because those spring fertilizers, again, tend to be a little heavy on the nitrogen. Since the labels on pre-emergents can be vague, know that crabgrass seed will only germinate after soil temperatures have reached 50 to 60 degrees for several consecutive days. So we are not at that point, as you stated earlier. When choosing a herbicide, liquid tends to have better coverage and leads to a more effective control. Those granular products require the lawn to be wet in order to stick. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, okay. You had a lot of good information there, Kelsey. Okay, first of all, like fertilizing, you're right. Like we're aching to get out there. We want to get that lawn growing, but early spring is not the best time. We generally recommend fertilizing in the fall to promote root growth, and then that fall fertilization can keep you going all the way to Memorial Day, which is like the second best time, Memorial Day. Nevertheless, I always think with lawn care, it's so subjective. Like for me, I fertilize once every 5 years. I'm so easygoing.
Low maintenance.
That's right. And I buy bags of fertilizer that are broken, so they're third price. They're on sale. Other people want to fertilize 4 or 5 times a year, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong. But there are some considerations. One is, like you said, if you fertilize in the springtime, you're going to have more leaf growth, and so you're going to have to mow more often, definitely. And also, especially this year, our soil's so dry, you got to be really careful. You can't put fertilizer down on a dry lawn. You're going to burn the heck out of that turf. So if you do fertilize, you have to make a commitment to water it in right away, or you got to do it right away. At least within 24 hours, you got to water it in. Otherwise, you're going to be burning those turf roots and causing stress. Crabgrass, you mentioned, that is our first weed that we worry about. And there's no living crabgrass. It dies in the winter, but the seeds can emerge this spring. And they start to emerge, like you say, when soil temps are in the 50s. There's kind of a signal plant that we use when we start seeing those yellow blossoming forsythias. When they start blooming, that can mimic the time when soil temperatures are around 50. And so I am seeing some forsythias starting to bloom now. And so especially where crabgrass is, right along the edges of sidewalks and driveways, that gets to be that's a warm place compared to like our soil temp readings that we get on the internet from a farm in Mandan. It's different. So if you got to control crabgrass, I would recommend put it on as soon as you can. And it doesn't hurt to put it on, a week or two earlier. But I also say is that 9 out of 10 people don't have a crabgrass problem. So most people don't even know what crabgrass is. And we're just kind of being sold that, okay, your spring fertilizer, you have to control crabgrass. But if you don't even know if you had the problem, why are we putting this toxic chemical on our lawn? And so, crabgrass, you should know about it. It's a flat-growing grass. It has a burgundy sheath at the base of it. And it's usually just where it's hot and dry, like around the driveway. But if you do got that problem, I recommend go ahead and put it on. The other thing about Kelsey with crabgrass, those preventatives, and again, they're usually mixed in your spring fertilizer. The thing about those common herbicides, they will stop all grass from germinating, not just crabgrass. And so you can't put grass seed in that area this spring because your crabgrass killer are going to kill that too. So you have to just keep that in mind. If you plan on overseeding your lawn, stay away from that crabgrass killer. So generally, I think crabgrass killers are overutilized and not needed. But if you're going to do it, I'd probably get on it pretty soon.
That's what people have been saying. They've been putting down those pre-emergents already.
Right.
And so you just talked a little bit about seeding a new lawn and not to use that. And right now is the time. Actually, the best time is late summer, early fall to start establishing a little bit of a lawn because we have that long winter in North Dakota. In the spring, then, those lawns can develop with a healthy root system. They get established in the fall a little bit, right?
Yeah, fall's the best time because the soil's warm, and so the grass seed will germinate quickly. You put the grass seed on now, it's going to take a while to get going. And also, whenever you disturb the soil, like with your rake or whatever you use to prepare the soil in your lawn, you encourage weed seeds to germinate. Weed seeds will germinate in the spring, but the weeds are kind of smart. They don't want to germinate in the fall because they know they just have a feeling that winter's coming. So they're just, I'm going to wait till spring. So, but if you got to put in a lawn, let's go ahead and do it. But just realize it's not the perfect time. The perfect time would be like late August. But hey, that doesn't mean you have to wait. Let's just get out there and get the job done, everybody.
Yeah.
But do it soon, and stay on and. Make sure you keep water on it. That's the key factor to get a good lawn established. You got to keep moisture on that soil, watered at least every day to maintain.
Get it established.
That's right. You got that right.
Yep.
What else do we do in the spring?
Well, a couple other things that I was just going to give as pointers for your lawn throughout the summer, just to have that healthy, abundance green lawn, is we want to make sure that we're mowing only at 2.5 to 3 inches. So spring right now would be a good time to go ahead and get those blades sharpened. With a sharpened blade, you're not going to be spreading disease, where a lot of times that dollar blade will spread disease and stuff. We also don't want to bag our clippings. Those clippings also help conserve the water throughout the summer and add nitrogen back. And you talked a little bit about watering, and so we want to water deep and infrequent. So once a week, maybe twice a week, and we require about 1 inch of water per week. So a lot of times people think as soon as it starts to wilt, they should be out there watering, but actually a little wilt does not damage or hurt our lawns. It will just encourage that deep root system to develop.
Sounds good to me. Good
All
advice.
right. Well, with that, I now know what I need to do with my lawn. And so I hope my husband's listening and he'll be able to do that for me, coming up. I just saw actually on the weather, looks like we will be getting some moisture on Friday and Saturday. So if you're looking to put some fertilizer down, then maybe Friday and Saturday would be a good time to do those. So you'd get some of that moisture that Kelsey and Tom were talking about.
After you go to the expo.
After,
exactly.
exactly.
Go to the expo.
Exactly. You got to get to the expo. And with that, thank you for listening. And you we'll be back in 2 weeks with the Burley County Extension Connection. Bye.